If you know someone in addiction and you'd like to have hope for recovery, you have come to the right place. Welcome to another edition of Odyssey House Journals. I'm your host, Randall Carlisle. My co-host, what's your name? Oh, I know her, Nicole Slack. Hi, Nicole.
Hello.
And Chase is our guest today. And you are the reason I say there's hope. And one of the reasons we bring in people who are succeeding in finding recovery is just so you guys, everybody watching or listening, knows that it's possible. Nicole's in recovery, Chase is in recovery, I'm in recovery, and we're all still alive and still talking coherently. At least I think you will, Chase.
Yes.
Okay. So where are you in terms of your stage of recovery?
So I graduated inpatient at Odyssey, and now I'm at IOP Sugar House as a navigator, getting ready to graduate in the next month, the whole program.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how long is the process? A lot of people, Nicole, you always run into people who are coming into admissions, and one of the questions is, how long is the program? What's your answer?
Average inpatient 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And it all depends on that client and how they progress.
And to go all the way like Chase is?
Average, I would say 12 to 15 months.
And it took you how long?
13.
Okay. You said you were a slow learner at first.
Oh, I was terrible. When I started in the house, the first stage is orientation, and people are in there for like 1 or 2 weeks max. I was in it for 46 days.
Whoa.
I was very stubborn. I didn't want to talk about my feelings and gratitude. I didn't feel like I deserved gratitude. And so when they would be like, what are you grateful for? I'm like, I'm going to go back to my room. I'm not doing this.
Thank you.
And it took me 46 days. And I look back now and think the patience that staff had with me and had to get me through that rough first patch.
What finally broke your back where you cried uncle and said, I will share my feelings?
Other people in the program, listening to their stories and realizing you can make mistakes and be grateful, and that doesn't make you wrong. I thought it was wrong to feel grateful for having kids or the people around me that love me. I felt like I was a burden on them, so being grateful for them was just causing burden. So when I saw other people were capable of that, gave me peace. And then I slowly started with, I'm grateful for my kids. I'm so sorry for everything I did to them, but I'm still grateful I have them. And I didn't show gratitude by being an addict, but I gave all these excuses. And finally it was, I'm grateful to be a mom. I'm grateful to be where I am. And yeah.
Well, we're grateful to have you here.
Thank you.
So Chase, tell us your story.
How long were you in orientation?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we start there.
So I was in about a month.
Okay.
And then,
So you were a faster learner than she was.
well, we haven't got the compass yet. So then I got the compass, and I ended up being on a border for 3 out of the 5 months I was there.
Can you explain borders?
So borders are, so for me, I got caught with vapes, so I got hit with contraband. They have one for sexually acting out, threats and acts of violence, stealing. I was hard-headed and stuck in my ways. I didn't want to even try to get out of my old ways.
So what are your old ways? What led you? What happened in your life before you came to treatment?
So when I was younger, my grandparents raised me for like the first 5 years of my life. My mom was never around, dealing with her alcoholism and her drug addiction. And then I went to live with my dad and stepmom, and everything went good there for a while. Then when I hit 12, I started doing visits with my mom because she kind of came back around a little bit. And because we never had a relationship, I think because I was already drinking, smoking weed, doing hallucinogenics.
You were?
Yeah.
At 12?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And So one day I don't know, I think deep down it was for me to try to build a bond with my mom.
If she's doing drugs, you're doing drugs.
Yeah. So I got my first meth sack from my mom at 12.
Jeez. What was that like at 12?
Um,
Do you remember?
yeah, really.
Okay.
It really didn't stop until July 6th, 2023.
So how many years in active addiction?
24.
Wow. Wow. So, okay, you're 12 and you're trying to bond with your mom by doing drugs together. Did you do them with her?
Yeah, so after a while I was just doing it with my buddies, and then about a year and a half later is when I started doing it more with my mom. And then after the years went by, it kind of went back and forth to where either I was her dealer or she was my dealer.
Wow.
Which, I mean, like at first, I'd like to think that it was making us closer, but it really wasn't. It was just making the situation worse. And then as the years went on, there was a lot of resentment for her
Sure.
giving me my first sack. Because in my mind, for me, my mom should be the one to keep me away from the drugs.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. And so all those years in addiction, what finally brought you to treatment?
So I've done CATS 7 times.
We should tell people CATS is a program in the Salt Lake County Jail that people can go through, and it's run by Odyssey House. And the only real difference is that you can't walk out, right?
Not at all.
like you can in our programs here. You went through it how many times?
7 times.
Wow. Must have really stuck with you.
But I mean, I got a little bit out of it each time, but I just wasn't ready to quit. Most of it was just to stay out of prison.
Sure.
But when I was 15 is when I was introduced to heroin for the first time. So that was my ultimate downfall there. The reason I got started on that was my ex, she was doing it and I was trying to get her to stop, trying to figure out what was the big deal about it. So I was like, I'm just going to try it with you, see what the big deal is. And with me having such an addictive personality, it only took that one time and I never stopped.
Wow. Huh. And so how did you finally, you went through Odyssey's CATS program in jail 7 times. How'd you finally get into the program outside of jail?
So what led up to all that, after all my gang activity over the years, because once I left my dad's house, I started running with the gangs because I felt like they were my family, which in all reality they weren't. They weren't actually there for me. But I would say what really, this time around, I actually turned myself in because I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I realized how far I really went down that rabbit hole.
So did you turn yourself into your PO?
So I tried turning myself into my probation officer, but I just couldn't get myself to go down there and do it. I tried going to them to the police station, couldn't do it. So it was about, when was it, April 2023. Me and my mom got into a pretty big fight. I ended up hurting her pretty bad, put her in the hospital. It took me until July 8th when I finally realized that, all right, if I get to this point, I'm completely going past all my moral ethics, because I always live by men are not supposed to be putting hands on females.
But especially, well, any female, but especially your mom. Whoa.
I mean, and once I realized I did that, I knew it was time to get help. So I actually went back to my mom's knowing I was going to pick up another third-degree felony for a protective order violation. But I knew that was the only way I could get clean. I knew there was a chance I'd probably go to prison for it. But the only way I've been able to get clean in the past was going to jail.
So you finally got into the Odyssey program.
Yep. So I was in jail. I did CATS twice in one stay because like I went back over to ADC after I finished, and I didn't like the environment. There were drugs everywhere in the section. So,
In the jail.
Yeah. It's as sad as it is, it's easier to get in there than it is on the streets.
It's easier to get drugs in the Salt Lake County Jail than it is on the streets. Wow. What they're all smuggled in, I presume.
Smuggled in. I mean,
Do some of the guards deal?
I haven't seen any of the guards, but I'm sure. I mean, I know it doesn't get past them in the prison. So, but a lot of people try having it sent in on like postcards.
Wow. So when you you went through CATS twice that time because you'd rather be in their pods than the main jail. And so coming out of CATS, did you come directly into the residential program?
Yeah, so I had it set up with my judge when I went to sentencing. To start off, I was going to do 6 years. And then after they reviewed the case some more, seen my history, it went up to 10 to 15 years.
Ooh.
And it was prison no matter what, almost that whole year up until about 10 and a half, 11 months. I just went in. I said, I know I've done this in the past. I've asked for a program. I said, but give me this one chance to prove that I'm actually ready to change. If I don't, give me the max sentence. She's like, well, I'm going to give you one chance. She goes, I've never seen anybody be willing to do the CATS program on their own twice in one stay. So the stipulation was I had to go, have to graduate, have no dirty UAs, not catch any cardinals. So I caught some cardinals, but when I was inpatient, talked to my PO about it. But I always had good progress reports that I was opening up in groups. My therapy sessions were going good. I volunteered for EMDR.
Did that help?
I think I jumped into it too soon because I wasn't quite in the right headspace. Like I was, but when I got the phone call July 20th, 19 days after my birthday, that my mom had actually passed away from an overdose.
Ooh.
I probably should have stopped doing EMDR there because at that point it took like everything I could to not leave. Just say, screw it, I'm going to go to prison. Said I didn't want to deal with the pain.
Which is one of the main reasons a lot of people get high is just to numb yourself, right?
What kept you there?
At first, I didn't know. And then I slept on it. Told myself I'd give myself at least a week before I made a rational decision. And I just woke up one morning and just realized that I deserve better than this. And although me and my mom didn't have the best relationship, I know she'd be proud of me.
You did what we talk about in recovery all the time. You didn't act immediately because your immediate thought was, I'm getting the hell out of here, right? Mm-hmm. And you slept on it and you said you took a week? Boy.
I just told him I'd give myself a week before I made a rational decision.
That was brilliant on your part.
And I don't think I'd be able to do that, but at Odyssey, I learned how to use the STOP technique.
Describe that.
So it's stop, think, observe, and then proceed. So I just had to think of, okay, if I leave, what's going to happen? Hey, I'm going to end up in prison, probably catch more charges, end up doing life. And I had to play that tape over in my head the whole week. because I hope, oh, whatever, I'm used to this. It's nothing. But
You said you felt a sense of community with your gang, and that's why you stayed, because you thought they were like family. Did you feel any of that sense of community while you were at Odyssey that helped you?
yeah, like I still go back to Lighthouse 3 or 4 times a week. I end up spending 7 to 10 hours a day there. I even volunteered to be a house driver, which got approved. Then Michael Minatella said once I graduate, he says I got a job at Lighthouse.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
I've been trying to figure out what my calling is, and that's my calling, is to help others tell my story. That's one of the biggest reasons I want to do this, because I feel like by me telling my story, it's going to connect with somebody. It could help them.
Yeah.
You know what Nicole brings up, a lot of people may not understand, but at least in our program and in a lot of programs, we're a modified therapeutic community, which means there's a lot of peer support going on in our program. And that really makes a difference. It seems to. Describe how, like, Nicole asked you, did you feel sort of like, the other people you're in there with are your family?
Yeah, I look at all of them like my family. Honestly, I look at the staff, my peers, all of Odyssey is my family, because they have been the ones that actually been there to support me through this whole journey and make me feel safe. Didn't matter what time it was, I always had somebody to go to if I needed a process. And that's...
Because a lot of critics will say, wait, I don't get this. You have a bunch of drug addicts dealing with a bunch of drug addicts. What's your response to that? I mean, obviously we have professional people like therapists and everything, but...
So I kind of had the same outlook on it. I'm like, okay, so like the first time I went, because I did Odyssey 8 years ago at the downtown house, and I was like, okay, so we're going to put a bunch of drug addicts together. Like, okay, so we're back in a jail section. Cool, whatever. But after that 3 months that I was there before I had to leave to go get my open heart surgery done, I really wish I would have went back. It helped me start to find myself.
What'd you have to have open heart surgery for?
So I had it for IV drug use.
You had a septic infection?
It was endocarditis.
Yep.
Sepsis and MRSA at the same time. I had it on the main heart valve, and I was just slowly drowning myself in my own blood. I woke up one morning, had a big abscess on the side of my neck, and so I rushed to the hospital, and they told me I had 5 hours to live at best. So they kept me for 6 weeks on IV antibiotics, and then part of their stipulation was I had to go to a rehab of their choice for 3 months. Like, all right. So I went, did good at Odyssey the whole time, didn't get in no trouble. And because of that, and the hospital actually ended up paying for the whole bill for the heart surgery, my physical therapy and the medication.
Wow.
And they said they've never done that for anybody else. So, I mean, like, that made me feel good. I mean, I still kind of question today, like, why did they do that for me and not nobody else?
But how long ago did your mom die?
Last year on July 20th.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's coming up on a year.
What are your feelings right now about the relationship with your mom? I mean, it'd be sort of easy to blame her for your addiction.
I mean, I did at first, which I can't say it's all my fault, all her fault. I feel like it was kind of a 50-50 situation there. But in all reality, even I had the bigger part in it by even going and asking her. So, I mean, I blame myself for a lot, because I know it was just, because at first I didn't really like it. I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like that I couldn't sleep. But that was a way for me and my mom to actually spend time with each other.
Good. until you beat her up. And that you both were probably high at the time, right?
So I was actually at the worst part of my withdrawals from heroin.
Ooh.
So, because on day 3, and like our relationship was pretty good, but her boyfriend that she had before she passed away, there was a lot of resentment there because of the sexual assault that happened when I was 7. And I just never opened up about it until after she passed. Like I tried doing it with her, but she'd always act like nothing ever happened, which that put a lot of resentments towards my mom too.
You know, I'm not making excuses for you, but you had all the cards stacked against you. You're the genetic inherited factors to begin with, because your mom was she using while she was pregnant, or don't you?
Yeah, I had meth and alcohol in my system when I was born.
Whoa. And then, so you have that stacked against you. Then you have the fact that you wanted to be closer to her, but she was using, you know, and a sexual assault. It's like, you know, it's pretty understandable, and you understand now that that it was a rugged upbringing, to say the least. So have you dealt with all that, or where are you now?
I'm in the process of it now, because I started EMDR and outpatient. Now that I'm in a better headspace, I worked through the sexual trauma, and I should be done with my mom passing, and just how the resentment, learning forgiveness for myself, and just being okay with the situation.
Well, one of the keys, you had to learn to love yourself, because before you came in, you hated yourself and you wanted to die, right?
Mm-hmm.
You love yourself now?
Yeah.
How about you? You learning to do that?
It took me a long time. So after 24 years using, so one of my core beliefs is I'm unlovable.
Really?
Just because of the fact that my mom was never there, which I think started it a lot. Me and my stepmom didn't have like the best relationship when I was younger. I mean, it's excellent now, but and then just all the relationships, trying to figure out why I was cheated on, why I was left for other guys, just made me feel like I couldn't be loved.
Are you getting better with that?
Yeah,
Because everybody is worthy of love,
yeah.
you know.
It took me a lot of journaling, a lot of therapy, a lot of just me allowing myself to be vulnerable and tell people what's going on, which I just was really uncomfortable with. So,
Well, that's hard for anyone. That's why you spent so much time in orientation,
Yes.
right? You know.
It sounds like you're doing the work, though, like the hard work. It sounds like journaling and therapy. And are you living in sober living?
yeah, at Anchor West.
Okay. And then what's next? Like, you're going to graduate soon? How long does Navigator take an outpatient?
Pretty much as long as you make it, but they want you there at least a month and a half, sometimes 3, just depending on where you're at. But right now I've been in outpatient for 8 months. So, like, I was gonna just get my assignments done, but now that I'm starting EMDR, I'm gonna take it a little slower.
I think a lot of people think of the programs as like, get through it, like just get through your levels and graduate. But like when you're actually working it and taking your time, like it's not, the time doesn't matter. You're like, I can't wait till therapy next week so I can see my progress.
Doing it twice a month to now doing therapy 4 times a month.
That's good.
So
I'm happy that you're advocating for what you need.
it took a lot for me to do that, because I was always one like, oh, I can do this myself. I don't need to ask for help. But that was one of my biggest mistakes in my whole addiction.
Yeah.
Even my dad would tell me all the time, he goes, why don't you just ask for help?
I think humans crave connection, and when you're in your addiction, there's so much shame and guilt that you don't want that connection because then you have to face it. Mm-hmm. So facing it's hard.
It is hard.
And then staying connected is the key. So
yeah. And like I didn't think I'd ever really be back in my family's good graces.
Yeah.
But
And you are now?
yeah, my dad and my stepmom, both my brothers, my sister, and my grandparents, my stepmom's whole side of the family. Like last year was the first time I went and done anything with family for holidays in like 5-6 years.
How'd that feel?
It was a little nerve-wracking at first. I was like, feel out of place here, like what's going on? But no, it was nice to know that I wasn't being judged by them.
Everyone wants your family to do well. I think people think they hate me now. They want you to do well. Just prove it.
Yeah. And it's like, no, like even if you were high, you still should have came around. I said a lot of that was guilt and shame on my part. I didn't want you guys to see me like this.
Yeah.
I said, because I've had enough guilt and shame that I was letting myself go that far. Like, no, we understand it. But like a phone call, a text message would have been nice just to know you're alive.
Guilt and shame don't let you do that either.
I don't. I said half the time I didn't even have a phone.
It's weird how I think everybody who's dealt with addiction deals with guilt and shame.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to be in that. You didn't like a little kid saying, "I want to grow up and be an addict."
Yeah.
You know, nobody does that. You know, and it happens through some bad choices, and then it's a disease, and it's something you have to deal with.
I think guilt and shame they just eat at you. It causes isolation. Then how do you come out of the isolation? Then how do you confront people after you've hurt them? It's a horrible, horrible cycle that isolation keeps you safe because you don't have to see the guilt and shame like on other people. Like you don't have to see what you've done. And it's hard. I think people want to be addicts because it's fun or it's easy. It's like torture for me.
It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
And the guilt and shame prevents you from loving yourself because you don't feel you're worth it.
Yep.
You know,
Being an addict is wild.
that's why there are so many treatment programs out there.
Yeah.
Because people do. Yeah, you said it well. You were sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know,
Yeah. I got tired of not having nothing, trying to figure out where I was going to live, wondering where I was going to eat my next meal, having to look over my shoulder for the cops or my PO coming, picking up charges daily just to support my habit from stealing.
Is it weird to like pass by police now and be like, I don't have anything?
At first it was, but it's not anymore. Like,
Good.
because I've run into a couple of them. So some car accidents I've seen, they've showed up and they're like, "You good?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You want to run my background?" He's like, "No." He goes, "We're sure you're doing good."
You are doing good. You were recommended for the podcast by somebody who was in the program, as you well know. And I think telling your story, I hope if you're out there watching or listening, watching on YouTube or listening on any podcast platform, I started out this podcast saying we want to provide hope. And you have provided hope for people watching and listening. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Nicole, good to see you again.
You too.
All right. And thank you for watching or listening to another edition of Odyssey House Journals.